Immigrants began in the colonies, either North Carolina, some were coming from Boston, New York, what is now Nova Scotia, Newfoundland. And in February of '76, there was a recruiting effort down in the eastern part of Carolina towards Cape Fear River, and then they were going to go from there to Wilmington. Unfortunately, at the Battle of Morse Creek, this recruiting party got captured after a battle, and then they pretty much disbanded. The rest of the recruits would be found in Boston, New York, as I said earlier, and they began to pull this regiment together. So the regiment was a provincial unit, meaning that they were not a regular unit such as the 71st or other redcoats. However, they were garbed like this. They were wearing kilts, they had bonnets. But after '78, they got promoted into the regular establishment, so they actually got a number. They became the 84th Regiment, which is a very big thing for these provincials to get. What that meant for them was that the officers got half pay, the actual soldiers could get a pension after the war, and they actually had a nice bounty afterwards. They could get land. Now, the regiment, unfortunately, was only down here in the south for just a couple years, and there was only 5 companies down here versus the rest of the units were up north. They were in Canada as a garrison, and in New York, basically guarding forts. They were in Fort Michilimackinac in Michigan. They were all over the place. Down here in the south, they were mostly, again, garrisoning, but in certain areas of the backcountry, they were chasing Whigs. There's a few times that they're chasing Francis Marion, the swamp fox, on horseback, which you can imagine is quite a weird thing to see a Highlander run through a horseback. But they basically, at the end, they did get disbanded in 1784, and most of them either stayed in the colonies or they moved to Canada or moved back to the Isles. And a lot of them did get land up in Nova Scotia, which was unfortunate because that was not really good farmland. There is a big contingent of former loyalists in there in the Canadas. Even today, they have a large heritage that they really promote and they're pretty proud of over there. So there's a lot of connections over that way. But that's the short history of the 84th.